Hello, we're back for the final signature, and this is the base page I've chosen to use. I wanted to use this scrap. This is going to blend in with another piece of paper we're going to be cutting into, but this was an element that was across the top, and it's so lovely. I wanted to use it, and it then ties into what's up here. So this final piece is going to measure at 8.5 inches across by 8 3/4 in the height. This pocket that we're going to make is at 3, we can trim it down to 3 1/8. And then you will trim this accordingly. I took it off the top. I didn't want to trim anything off the bottom. There was room up here at the top to take that out. So we'll get this put on. I apologize, but I need to trim a little extra off here. Okay. All right, so then on this piece, I did some glossy accents around the berries, and then I used Wink Estella, and then I hope this is dry. I let it sit for a couple hours, and then the platinum Stickles, so that's going to go down here. I'm going to turn it over so I can burnish. It's easier than trying to rub up against this. I don't want it to hurt it. Now I'm going to add my bling in here. And I'm not going to do anything else with this. I want the piece of paper to speak for itself. Okay, now we are going to cut the front of the flaps first, and we're going to be playing with this piece of paper. Every element that's on here is so lovely. I just did not want to cut or splice into any one of these. So we're going to cut and paste a lot of this. We're going to start here across the bottom. So I cut this piece, and you're going to end up trimming off about another 1/2 inch here, but you're going to come up here, and then you're going to trim right straight across so that you separate this out. And to give you a guide, The edge of this table to the edge of the paper is 1/4 of an inch. So you can measure out 1/4 of an inch, and that's where your trim's going to be. And then this is going to layer here across the bottom. The next piece is going to be the tree. So on the Christmas tree, you're going to come in and you're going to layer this. Like I said, I ended up taking another 1/2 inch out of here. I could have left it here, but I didn't. I was focusing more on what I did was I came straight up this line and I cut this completely away, and that's how I got this piece. And that's why there ended up being another 1/2 inch sitting here. So you're going to trim, you're going to center this, and you're going to cut this entire left side of this paper off so that then you can come in and you can trim for that tree, which is going to go here. And then the owl in the teacups will go up here on the top. So I'm staggering them, but I'm putting them back in their respective places. Oops, not there. It's going to go here. This is going to go under. I want the Christmas tree on the top. We'll do a better job of layering here in a minute. And then you're going to come in and you're going to cut the window. So on the window, you're going to leave this alone over here. But if you measure from the edge of this green leaf out, it's about 1/2 inch. So you're going to come about right here and you're going to trim this. So then this is going to come in here at the top, and then what's left over is the welcome. All right. Let's see, and this is going to layer like this. Now, how I'm going to attach it all is going to be another thing. I hadn't quite thought that through yet, but there's going to be a magnet someplace in here. So this piece here, trimmed out, ended up being about 3 3/8 of an inch. And it was easiest to get to this because this was what I wanted for my focal point, was to slice this piece of paper right straight up in between these. You might lose a little bit of the bow, but if you center it right, you should be able to come up in between these two. And then you'll split this piece, you'll split it in half. And then again, you'll have the porthole window. And then you're going to have this big piece that's going to come in down here on the bottom. And that allows us to play with every single element that's on this 12 by 12 sheet. It's a lovely sheet, but there was no way that I could cut into this and not ruin one of the elements. So I approached it this way. Now, when we turn these over, so this is going to go up, this is going to turn up, this one will turn out, this will turn out, and then this is going to turn out. All of these are off a 12 by 12 sheet of paper. So you can see which one it is. It's got the big mountain range in the back, and then it's got the snowy winter basin here on the bottom. And I don't think I have a sample of it left. Nope, I don't. So I'm just going to let you look at this for a little bit so you can see that the pattern, I wanted to keep this pattern the same. And that means that you're trimming each one of these pieces to the cardstock. And I'll give you the measurements for each one here in a minute. But I want you to take a look at how this is going to end up laying out. Blah. I'll get it spilt out here in just a second. Okay, so let's start with the cardstock pieces. I'm going to start with the biggest piece. This is going to measure in at 8 1/4 inches across by 6 inches. Here on the end, you're going to score in at 1/2 inch, and then you're going to score in at 5/8 of an inch. And that's what's going to go here. So as I give you the measurements, we're going to go ahead and put at least these pieces together so you can see how it's all going to come about, if you will. So I'm going to give you some time. I'm going to start taping the backs of these, and you can trim out this piece here. And I'm going to get in here and get some tape added. You might need to stop that video a couple of times to go back over the trim pieces. Well, okay, so this is going to come in at the bottom right corner, this piece right here. And I want the hinge on the top, so we're going to come right up to that 1/2 inch score line. And then I'm going to be moving around a little bit here. This will go, this piece here, the portal window is going to go here in the upper left corner. Or, excuse me, I'm sorry, upper right corner, right here. So this is going to measure 6 3/4 of an inch in the length, overall length, and then 4 3/4 in the height. But you're only going to score this one at 1/2 inch. I don't need this sticking out because it's going to be under a layer here. This layer that's going to come here shortly. Okay, so this is going to slide in under here, and we're going to bring it right to the edge and right up to that 1/2 inch score line. Now, the next piece we're going to add is the little owl with the tree and the cups, because it's going to go here on our left side. And this is going to measure at 4 3/4 of an inch across. That's your width. By 6 1/4 in the height. You're going to score this at 1/2 inch. And we're going to come in here. And we're going to tuck it right up to the corner. Okay, so there so far are flaps. Now we'll go ahead and we'll set this one. This piece, just a second. This piece is going to measure at 6 7/8 in its height. Okay, so it's going to go this way. So this is going to be 6 7/8 by 3 1/2 inches. But now you're going to come in and you're going to score it at a 1/2 inch and you're going to score it at 5/8 of an inch. And I want this hinge on the top, so we're going to bring all of our work up to the 1/2 inch score line. And I'm going to center this just as best as I can, because this is what, 8.5, so I'm going to be at about 4 1/4 is my center. So there's my center, and I want this centered. So this is going to be 3 1/2, so you're talking 1 3/4 of an inch. I really want this. Oh, I got that pretty well lined up there, goodness sakes. There it is. And then that puts this hinge here up at the top so that it can layer over this. We got one more to go. It will go down here on the bottom. Now, I have that didn't get put on all the way the right way. Hold on here just a second. It's sticking out a good 1/8 of an inch, and that won't work. It's got to snuggle in here a little bit better. In fact, I don't even have it. There we go. Get this. What's happening is I'm getting some pushback from the pocket and the bling that I put on that pocket. It's creating a bit of a problem. Okay, so this piece here, let me cap it. Evaporates quite quickly. All right, this piece is going to measure at 4 7/8 across by 6 1/8. You're going to score this one at a 1/2 inch, and you're going to score it at 5/8 of an inch. I need this hinge to wrap around this bulk that we have built over here on this side. And because there is bulk there, I need to make sure that this is lined up on the 1/2 inch score line. Okay, so then this is going to go here. So now think this through, Charlie. So if this is going to close, and I want to keep it closed, I need to probably put a magnet sitting right here. Hold on just a second. So I'm going to center this magnet right there. I'm going to put my spacer on. Okay, and then we're going to take a piece of tape. Put it on the magnet. I was using glue, but I'm going to, just if I can get away with using tape and it doesn't stick to me. Now, this is going to be the trick. All right, so here's, okay, open this up. So, because when the magnet sits down, you don't want it sitting where it's splitting here on this edge, this seam here. So open this up, put this down, and then when you close this, it's going to connect through that layer that's right there. All right, so now we can go ahead and start adding in our paper collection, and that way you'll get to see how it all comes together. with the big piece first. I just saw something. I wonder if it will work. There is a cut apart that matches this. I wonder if it's the right size. Could layer over it, put a pop-up on it. Food for thought. All right, now let's go ahead and let's put the Christmas tree in place. So when this is closed, it will be the tree and the table will be the focal points that you'll see. And let's go ahead and let's put welcome. We'll put it on. And then this cute little guy. And then we'll put the window in. So when all of this is closed, this is what you have. So this pattern continues across the top. You have the tree, you've got the table, and you have the welcome sign. And that's that entire 12 by 12 trim. All right, now the inside, I will tell you that I trimmed, I thought, to the same specifications, the same way. And this bottom piece, I'm coming up short. So I don't have any of it left over. I'm not sure where I trimmed, why this piece is trimming short. So what I'm doing to get around that is I'm going to create a nice long pocket down here. And then I want to focus on the pieces for the top. So that's 1, 2, this is 3. What happened? I've got them labeled goofy here, I guess. Okay, so again, you're going to trim this piece of paper that has the mountain range across the top and then the prairie lands below. You're going to trim it to fit each respective piece. And I would start and trim the top first. And then that will leave your bottom pieces that's not trimmed out right. So right there is where I'm coming up short. Bring this down here, and now I've got my room up here. Oh, for Pete's sake. Okay, this better not be the way the rest of this is going to go for me. Make sure it's even. It's really hard for me to see it when I'm back here and this is up here at an angle. So I miss my mark sometimes. Okay, there's that piece. And I've been penciling them. And then here's the center of the top of that page. Well, that's okay. And then I took this one here, and I put it over here. All right, so here's 1, 2, here's the third one. And then coming across the bottom, like I said, for some reason, I ended up falling short when I trimmed these. So these two bottom ones will have a small thin pocket, a tuck, because I don't like big gaps. So these are nice. I'm not doing anything with them. They'll make great backdrops for photos. Or you can come in and do some storytelling. Now, my little tiny pocket that I'm making over here on this side is going to be 4 1/4 inches by 1 1/4. This thin tape, it's easier for me just to use my fingers. Okay, so we'll get these put on, and what is left over of that base will go to the far right on that flap. And then I found just a nice, beautiful teal blue, this piece, and I trimmed it out. I didn't want it to be, I didn't want it to compete, but I wanted it to blend. So that's why there's no solid wood grains. Now, in the cut-aparts is a cluster of pine cones. And that's what I'm gluing to put over here on this side. And then I cut out one of the small floral. I've put some Wink Estella on it, and I am going to create a small little cluster there. So I'm going to start with the biggest of the pine cones, and I think I'm going to center it. And then I'm going to flank it with the two smaller pine cones, creating a little bit of a cluster. And then right here in the center, I'm going to put this little flower. Okay, so now let's move all the way over here. This should be relatively close to the piece you should have left over after all the other trims. And again, mine did come in short across here. I'm not sure why. 12 inches is 12 inches and I cut it the same, but I don't understand what I did wrong. So hopefully it worked out for you. And then I'm just going to line this up to the top, let it fall short on the bottom. And then I'm making a pocket to go down here on the bottom. So this will go the full length. Okay. Now, if yours ended up trimming out just fine, you don't have to put in a pocket, or you can go ahead and put in your pocket. And then I took this trim. I love just kind of some of the different greenery on it. And it's going to go across the bottom. Now I'm going to put in my bling, but I'm going to show you what I'm doing. And unfortunately it's not dry. I had used some of that stickle here on the snowbank, but this is a fussy cut out of the cut apart page, and I was going to put him right here. But I'm going to put my bling on. I'm going to kind of hold him in place so that I can see where the bling needs to go there, and then when it's done drying, I can put him in his spot. See, how long does that need to be? I'm going to trim it right there. Oh, I think I cut one. I cut one off that didn't need to come off of there. Okay. Now I will finish this, and then I'll know right where to put him when that glitter glue dries. I'm just going to set him up there. Get him out of the way. Okay, so when we go to close this, this can pretty much go any way you want it to. I want it underneath here so that these two are level. Then we'll come across with these, and there we go. And you have some beautiful spots here to journal, put photos. You've got a nice big tuck here. Now I did put glossy accents up here. I think I already told you that. So these two go down. This one comes over, this one comes over, and then this one. All right, let's get some tape on the back side, and we can get this in the album, and then you're going to be done. Okay. Now, I will come in here once this is dried. Oh, and let me tell you what I did here. This has been drying. I used some of that Stickle. See, this is not quite dry. I was hoping that it would be, because I can't close this to put it in my album. So I'm going to get a bit crafty here. So folks, I'm going to have to wait to add this to my album, but this is going to sit in here like this. And then I'm going to come in here tonight, so this all dries, and I'm going to take some glossy accents to all these berries that are up here. And I'm going to take some Wink of Stella to the flames here on the candle. And I'm going to do some red berry coverage here and here, just so that you know what I'm going to be doing, so you can do it to yours. And then again, I'm going to come in with some Wink of Stella on the floral on the tree. And then when you get in here, I'm going to do the Wink of Stella here. I'll accent those berries, do some Wink of Stella and some glossy accents down here at the bottom. But unfortunately, I've got to wait until the rest of this dries. So I'm going to say goodbye, and I'm going to start in on covering, because if this has to dry, I might as well do this, and that way it all dries. And I want to thank you for playing along, and I hope you like what we all created. I'll see you on the next album build. Bye-bye.